Greetings, one and all. Welcome back to Chatting Breeze after a brief hiatus. Apologies for that, by the way. As much as I take full responsibility for the missing of a couple of weeks' episodes, there were technicals inside the place, some of which were within my control, some of which were not. But anyway, we're back now, and that's all that matters. This one's a right cracker. The first ever live podcast, not the first ever live podcast, the first ever live episode of Chatting Breeze, recorded live at Cloak in Bristol, and it's to celebrate the 1 year anniversary or birthday of Collector Cave, a Bristol-based record shop. If you're from Bristol, you'll know of Collector Cave. Wicked couple of guys run by Guy and Ben. We sat down, had a little chat about the store, their journey from when they started doing car boot sales to where they are now, and just a proper nice couple of guys. Had a really good time. This episode obviously has been on the Patreon for a few days already. A reminder about the Patreon. If you join for just £5 a month, if you join the Belters Club, you get access to all of our tunes for free. And at least 2 weeks before they get released to the general public, you get all the podcasts a week early in most cases, but in this case, just a few days because the lack of podcasts recently, I wanted to get some out as soon as possible. And you're supporting all the work that we do over here at Belters HQ. I'm going to stop waffling now and let you get into the real meat of this episode. Patreon.com/Belters and safe. See you in a bit. Are we rolling? Are you ready? We're good to go. Righty ho then. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, you going for the mic?
I had a feeling for it, yeah.
Yes, there we go.
Feels
good. Welcome back to Chatting Breeze. As you may be aware, if you are watching the video version, we are in a different location this time. We've been welcomed in to the lovely Cloak by the team behind Collector Cave. I'm sat here right now with Guy, one half of Collector Cave. Ben is on his way, I have heard, who are celebrating their first birthday today. So
happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday. Can I get a woo? There we go.
Thank you. In
front of a live studio audience this time, so expect heckles, jeers, no naughty words, please. We're a family show, obviously. Collector Cave, I'll let you do most of the describing, but it's a record store in Bristol that has really become, at least for me, incredibly synonymous with, the Bristol record scene, especially for, diggers and, secondhand vinyl sort of thing. Please, Jake, come in. Please, climb over. Come on, you're all good.
We're all friends here.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Do you want to give a brief summary of the store, the kind of things that you've sold or that you sell or that sort of thing?
Yeah, sure. I guess in a nutshell, really, the store is based around 3 distinct styles of music. So we've got electronic music. That's kind of my passion. Ben also loves electronic music as well. We've also got basically rock and pop covering all sort of aspects of that. And then we've got, I guess what you call music of sort of black origin. So soul, funk, disco, reggae, hip hop, etc. So those are the kind of the 3 cornerstones of the store in terms of genres and the music we sell. We also sell CDs and tape. So it is basically all physical media. That's basically the store, the essence of it. In the past, we did lots of things like toys and collectables and God knows what. But, thank you very much.
Oh, table service. Come on.
Look at that. Look, thank you. So that's the essence of the store in its current kind of format.
I was going to say, because you did used to sell sort of toys, minifigures, that sort of thing. Because I remember I used to come and dig quite regularly in your store before, and we'll get into sort of the finer details on that. Where, did you always originally, did you come at it from that perspective of just all things collectibles, I suppose you could say?
Yeah, I guess the name of the store we tried to capture what we were about. And I guess it's still relevant. I guess it's just a bit more refined now. But yeah, you're right. Back, when we first started doing this, I just got made redundant. And I had all this money in my bank account, and originally I was going to leave the industry I was in and just find something similar, which was risk management. I mean, try not to fall asleep when you're listening to this, but yeah, I mean, well paid, but soul destroying kind of job.
We all know those.
Yeah. And so for one reason or another, I had always bought and sold things, just to kind of find records and just kind of a little bit of money on the side. And after about 6 months with this money sat in my bank account, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And it's just like, well, my girlfriend, now my wife, said, well, you can't just sit around spending all this money. Do you know what I mean? You've got to do something. So long story short, me and Ben, we've been friends on and off for 30 years. We'd spent a few years apart. I think he'd gone traveling and I'd kind of got into boring work. Anyway, I just said to Ben, let's do a business. And he used to help me out at car boot sales and selling at the side of the road. And I think
selling at the side of the road.
Yeah. I mean, literally, if you look at my CV since I left Direct Line, which is who I used to work for,
I'll make sure to bleep that out.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a bit. I mean, to be fair, they're very good to me, so I've got nothing bad to say about Direct Line.
Me neither, actually.
But at the end of the day, that's well in the past. But yeah, I started selling at car boot sales, and very quickly I just started buying just stuff. I don't know. The first thing I did, I was on holiday in New York, and on Facebook, these Star Wars vintage Star Wars toys from when I was a kid popped up on Facebook, and I was in New York in this hotel going, yeah, I'll buy this. So I spent 150 quid on stuff I'd never even seen. I just took a punt. Next thing, I bought these Star Wars toys and then showed them to this mate. He went, holy cow, mate, you've hit the jackpot there. There's a ton of money in that stuff. Wow. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I just didn't know. It's just a punt. One thing led to another. And next thing, we're buying toys. And then I bought a van and started doing house clearances. So the long and short, the very long answer to your question is that the store ended up being a catch-all for anything from antiques to clothing to you name it. If it was cool, interesting, or had a value, we'd just put it out in the shop. And I guess the whole point was I hate throwing stuff away. I hate the wasteful kind of world that we kind of are in. And so I felt, we could rescue these things and put them back out on the road. So me and Ben both had this kind of, I don't know, this desire to save these things from the bin. And that's pretty much, I guess I'm Stig of the Dump, I guess, in a long, in a kind of posh way. That's basically what we do. And we just like saving things.
That's incredible though. I mean, so it didn't start from, or at least like by the sounds of it, it didn't start from like a sort of, like a music focused thing. Like you didn't come out of it saying we want to start a record shop or anything like that.
No, I mean, had Ben have realised that it was going to turn into a record shop, he would probably have never done it because Ben's interest has always been toys and collectibles. And when we first started out, toys were easy to get. People were just putting them online for so cheap.
Really?
It's crazy. Like, I'll give you an example. You could pick up a Star Wars figure, which, you'd pay like a £5 for it. You might probably sell it for 10, 15 quid. You're now looking at probably 50 to £100 for that same toy.
Really?
In that short space of time.
Why do you think that is? Why has it shot up so much?
I think primarily two things. Star Wars is back. So, don't get me started on the new Star Wars.
Oh, here we go.
But,
now we're getting down to it.
But, vintage Star Wars toys, people of my age group, me and Ben are in our 50s now. And back then, those toys were the hottest toys around. But, our parents weren't wealthy. So we literally had one or two. And now people of my age, most people my age have actually got money. And so they're able to buy these toys, and Ben's got quite a good collection of Star Wars toys, and, he'll tell you about those in his own time. But so the market's just gone crazy for it, and we just can't find it anymore. You have to really focus on it. So the shop has morphed from being a toys collectible kind of almost antiques shop into what it is now. And it's not been a deliberate thing. It's literally been, that's how the journey has that's where the journey's taken us. And music was always something we'd try and buy. I always loved music. And for one reason or another, we just getting more and more and more records. And before we knew it, there was just so many in the shop. We were like, oh, it looks like we're a record shop then, amongst other things. And that's really where it's, ended up.
Because when you started, oh God, the first spillage of the evening. When you started in the Stokes Croft vintage market, that was your first place that you landed in, right?
Well, yeah, I've kind of gone on about 8 tangents already. So,
No, please.
The history as it stands is we started out at car boot sales. I used to do that pretty much on my own. Sometimes my mum used to come along, which was cool.
Nice.
And then I started thinking, right, let's do this a little bit more profesh.
Go
So
on.
got a little stall, East Street, Bedminster.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we started that in the middle of winter.
Oh, God.
The great British weather, so it'd take you like an hour and a half. So Ben used to come down and meet me on a Sunday morning. He used to then help me set up and help me sell. And he used to just do that because he enjoyed it. And it was just fun. And then I decided to move to St. Nick's Market and take a proper stall there.
Oh, you're in St. Nick's as well?
Yeah,
I
so
had no idea.
outside on the street, which is
Oh,
how I
of
got to know
course.
Boris Borai, because we used to
course.
be next door to each other. And of course, anyone who knows Boris, as soon as you talk about music, that was it. It's like wicked.
Yeah.
And we just
It's
got
a
on
way,
so
yeah.
well. And, like we used to just love it. Anyway, so after that, I just got so fed up of getting my van loaded up, driving to the spot, then unloading it, doing the shift, then reloading the van, then getting home and unloading the van. Yeah, boring, right? But 4 different times of loading and unloading for one day.
That's ridiculous.
And then it would rain often. And nobody would turn up because who wants to go shopping for records in the rain when you can go to HMV?
It must have been doing somewhat well, though, for you to be able to move into a more permanent spot in the vintage market.
Well, there's a gap. So the next thing we ended up doing is, buying and selling, you get to meet a lot of people and a lot of dealers, particularly the old school dealers. And somebody mentioned there was this really good car boot sale. That's right. Up in now next to Reggiani's in Fish Ponds. It's now a go-kart centre. But
Come on.
literally, I decided to go and check this place out. And it's actually pretty cool. It was in an abandoned warehouse. Absolutely freezing cold, brassic. Toilets were rank, even worse than the ones in the vintage market. But the
No
only
shade
plus,
on the vintage market, sorry.
No, the market was great. But it enabled me to literally rock up there and set up my stall and leave it there.
Yeah.
So I literally turned up with my van. After about doing this 3 or 4 times, I spoke to the owner and said, look, mate, can I just book that pitch every week and leave my stock and just cover it up? He's like, yeah. And that was it. So every Sunday I used to turn up and just pull the covers off. And it was like, yeah, I've made it. This is it. In the middle of a freezing cold warehouse.
I've made it.
Yeah. And I was
living the
like,
dream.
I don't have to unload the van anymore. Do you know what? That feeling was so good.
Yes.
And from there, then more dealers kind of said, oh, there's this place in Stokes Croft. Do you want to come and check it out? Oh, I'll vouch for you. So I was like, I don't even know these people were at the time. Very, very, very thankful to these people. And so we ended up in the market and me and Ben decided to take a pitch, which was probably about as big as the DJ booth behind us here.
Oh my God.
And I think we paid like £50 a week or something for it. Anyway, if we'd have carried on by the time in the vintage market, we'd have probably taken over the whole ground floor because we absolutely loved it there. I will say it was horrible, freezing cold. There were rats, pigeons trying to dive bomb you. There's no hot water, but it was really the start of a possible business that had some future.
And that was 2016?
Yes, that's right. So June, we turned up in June 2016, and the landlord, the guy who ran it, which was a charity at the time, said, "You've got 3 months. Good luck." And that was it. 6 years later, we were still there.
Oh my God.
And we were like, well, I think we've kind of got a viable business here.
Yeah, you'd think so.
But the problem was, the market was huge. So we had probably as much space, probably bigger than the whole of the upstairs of the Cloak here. And we were paying £500 a month for that, everything. So it was really, really like a false economy. We were like, yeah, no problem. We'll get a shop. It'll be bigger than this. Yeah. And then the reality struck looking around at what you had to pay. It's mental.
Yeah.
And, next thing, the previous owner of the Cloak, who was a customer of ours, kind of heard that we were leaving and just said, do you want to come here? And here we are.
So what actually happened with the vintage market? Because I know it disappeared and that sort of thing, but I didn't really hear the actual story as to like why or anything like that.
So it was owned by a company across the road from the market.
Right.
And they own a lot of those shops Yeti and Yak, those kind of places.
Oh,
they
yeah,
own all
yeah.
that. And they'd owned this place for a long time. They had long-term planning permission. But I think with the economic downturn and then COVID and all the other stuff going on, the development date just got pushed back and pushed back. So when we thought we had 3 months, turned into a year, then 2 years. And by that point, we were just like, they're never going to develop it. Nah, they're just going to leave us here. Obviously, that didn't happen. And eventually, in July last year, we were given a month's notice. We were told we'd have 6 months. We had just 6 weeks to basically evacuate it's like a department store in there.
It's huge.
It was crazy. So yeah, me and Ben, I think we went grey overnight with the prospect of getting out. But no, I mean, for what it was, it had a lot of faults, that place, but it was an amazing opportunity. And do you know what? I'm glad we did it. It was the best thing I'd ever done in terms of seeing a small business grow and grow and grow. And it's all down to the people that used to come back every week, though, because we just had loads of loyal customers. And yeah, I mean, it pinched me. I have to pinch myself sometimes to kind of realize what we've built and what we've created. And it's
amazing. Like, we were just chatting before about like the community that you built around the shop and everything. Like, I always felt like you guys were known as like, like the duo that were really pushing that whole like secondhand culture. When you started, what was the rest of the sort of Bristol record store sort of scene? What was it saying? Because I only moved to Bristol in 2018, didn't really start getting any interest into like records and even like dance music in general till like 2020. So I'm very unaware of what the scene was like back then.
Well, ironically, don't shoot me for saying this, but I'd actually kind of stopped playing vinyl for a long time. I mean,
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I think like everybody, the world of digital. I remember when I'd always bought records. I mean, I bought my first record when I was about 9 years old. But after about 95, 96, I just stopped buying vinyl for whatever reason. And I decided to go down the CD route. And it was a calculated risk, really, because, a lot of CDs, I have them all still to this day. I used to buy like drum and bass and jungle CDs, and you used to get loads of really good stuff on CD that you could get on vinyl, or it was like 5 times cheaper. So I got digital. And basically, long story short, I didn't buy records, so I didn't really go out that much looking for records. So I was kind of really out of the game completely at this point. I couldn't even tell you where I'd go and buy a drum and bass record in Bristol.
Really?
When we because I was into digital. And thank God me and Ben started the business, because very quickly what happened was that we started buying records, and I flicked through the records trying to price them up. And I remember that one. And then all of a sudden I was hooked. I was like, oh my God, why did I even think of selling my vinyl? What was I thinking?
It's so easy to get bitten by like the vinyl thing, 100%. Like.
Hell yeah. But I couldn't, honestly, I mean, Idle Hands, obviously, fair play to Chris. He was one of the only people holding it down really in Bristol, selling electronic stuff. HMV was kind of pitiful for 12 inches at that point.
Yeah, I would say.
Still is pretty much,
yeah.
to be fair. There are, obviously, you've got a few shops like Wanted Records, John's been holding down for years as well, so big up to him. But yeah, I honestly couldn't say there was anywhere in Bristol, considering Bristol's electronic footprint, there really wasn't anywhere, to go. Now that has changed, since then. We've got so much competition now, but yeah, we didn't even intend to set up a record shop. Like I said, it just happened. And very quickly we're like, we need to sell more records. We need to get more records. And that was it.
It's so interesting when you look at the sort of trends in how people consume and like play music. So like you say, like, mid to late 90s, you sort of ditched the vinyl for a bit, went more to CDs. The CD wave was so interesting because like, I've read a little bit about it, and it seems like at the time people thought this is like the next big thing. This is going to be huge. And there was like, so much money put into it. And then, like within like, 8-9 years, it was all USB, and like that whole market just completely collapsed in on itself. Like new CDJs, correct me if I'm wrong, don't even get made with CD drives anymore, right?
Yeah. I mean, they are literally, who are they? But I think physical media, they really just, they didn't want it anymore, because think about digital, there's not really any manufacturing costs. Once you've made the tune and you've kind of loaded it into the internet and paid your rights, I guess, unless I'm being naive, there isn't that much cost involved.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And ironically now, you know, when small labels want to go and get their next 12-inch pressed up, they're having to basically wait for Led Zeppelin or Adele or whatever to be repressed for the 98th time in the pressing plant, because now they've realised actually what an idiot we were to destroy all our pressing plants and basically ditch vinyl and CD. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm not sure what the original question was, by the way, but yeah, that's my kind of take on, you know, where we're at.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't really a question, more just like a statement on like how quickly things have changed in terms of that, and also the way that it's kind of like come back the other way now. Like, I mean, I'm sure, you know, you know a lot more about people's about consumers' listening habits than I do, based on you know your line of work. But from my perspective, a lot more people now are way more interested in records than they were, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah, what is quite interesting is the amount of people that actually buy records from us that don't even have a record player. There is something intrinsically beautiful about vinyl in itself, you know. Even if you don't play the record, you could just stare at the cover. You know, you can just read the liner notes. So you can just, you know, do some research on who's in the band by just reading the cover. Whereas, you know, buy a digital release. I mean, last time I bought digital release, I can tell you what it was. I can't tell you where it is in my hard drive.
Yeah.
It's gone. Yeah. It's disappeared. But I can tell you where my last record is that I bought, you know, and it's in a certain place in my rack. And I think that's why people like vinyl so much, because it's a bit like a book versus, I forgot now what the app's called. You know, we can read, you know,
I've got no idea.
Yeah, you know,
Kindle. I was going to say
Kindle,
Alice will know, yeah.
It's the same, isn't it? You know, Kindle's convenient and it's great if you want to be by the pool, but I'd much rather have the physical copy, much rather have the book. And I think it's the same with vinyl. It's art, it's tactile, it's got memories impregnated into it. You know, when I pick up a record, I can tell you where I got it, who gave it to me, or what town I was in, where I got it, what year. It's just like it's just something about connecting with the past, isn't it? And memories.
So you've been buying records since you said you bought your first one when you were like 9 years old. Actually, do you remember what your first record you ever bought was?
Yeah, it was Adam and the Ants, Kings of the Wild Frontier. I think 1983.
Come
I think
on.
it was maybe 1981. Yeah, that was the first record I actually bought.
Amazing. And so when did you start to get more into the sort of electronic stuff?
What, music in general?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I guess, you know, interestingly, when I was doing the last few hours on the live stream, I kind of just played music that I love from the past. You know, I guess I was always interested in beats and rhythms, you know. So if I think back to all even that Adam and the Ants record, which is kind of like a post-punky thing, it's got lots of drumming and lots of fast guitars. And I think I've always enjoyed that sound and that kind of feeling you get from music. You know, your heart rate goes up a bit and, you know, the hairs on the back of your arm sort of come up. So it's a natural progression. As soon as I started hearing like electro and hip hop, I was like, yeah, what's all this? This is really good. And it just kind of progressed from there. And, you know, I think the first electronic record I heard that blew my mind was probably Blue Monday by New Order. I remember I was at judo at the time, my weekly judo course, and there was a disco after, and I was probably about, when was that? 1980.
Disco after the judo class.
Yeah, it was wicked. Yeah. And the DJ played that tune, and I was just like, you know, when you hear a tune and it's like, what is that? And it's life-changing. So that's probably the first electronic tune I could probably say I heard. It's still in my top 10 even now. But that was way back in the 80s, you know, early 80s.
And then you obviously you were just buying to listen then. I guess when did you make the transition to buying like to DJ as well as just consume this music?
Well, I made a proper effort to, you know, I guess I always bought records with the intention of DJing them because, you know, my very earliest memories of my friends is them DJing. And I remember going to Bungie's house when I was about 15. And even then, he was about the same age. He was about 16. His room was already filled with records at that point. Crazy.
That is crazy.
And I remember watching him doing all these turntablist moves, you know, like spinning around, hand under his leg.
Come on.
All this crazy shit. And I was like, oops, sorry.
No, swear away.
Family show.
No.
You know, and so very quickly I was like, I want to be like that. And then the reality struck, actually, I'm going to need to sell a kidney to be able to fill my room with records like that. And then the Technics, oh my God. I mean, you know, how much money were those? And they still are. But yeah, that was when I was hooked. But it took a long, long time. I mean, I used to do radio shows back in 2014 from my bedroom, like we've all done. No one was listening, but the point was I was really into it. Yeah. It's hard. It's a hard graft. But yeah, it's, to be honest, I've only actually ever seriously DJ'd in the last couple of years because I always tried it, never really got anywhere because it's like a boring office worker who'd come home and not really have much of a social life in the evenings because I was a bit of a hermit. And so never got a chance. And so the shop really has really changed that. Yeah, amazing, really.
So you weren't like going out much like during those periods, or?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I did a lot of raving.
Okay, there we go.
1988, 89, Acid House, all those parties. And then by the time 91 came along, there's a couple of years where it's a bit patchy, the memories.
Okay, Say no more. Say no more.
But yeah. So I was always into it and I always got out. But, in terms of being a DJ, back then it was even harder than it is, today because less people had the equipment, there were less opportunities. Don't get your violins out. It's all right. I'm over it now. But I guess opening a record, what was turned into a record store has made it a lot easier. But
For sure. What was I presume when you were going out in this?
I noticed Ben, my business partner over there in the background. Come on. Can't just be the guy show. It's got to be the guy and Ben show.
There he is. Hello, sir. Take a seat.
Yeah. So sorry, what was the question again?
Just about like sort of, because I presume you're born and bred in Bristol, or?
Oh yes.
What was Bristol like at that time? Because I mean, even I've been here for 5 years and it's changed massively even in that time. So
Bristol was always cool musically. There were less clubs, growing up, but if you went to certain clubs, you would always hear good music, and it didn't matter where you were. I mean, when I was growing up, there was a big kind of like rare groove, northern soul kind of scene. You had a lot of hip hop, but I used to love a lot of just soul and house and stuff. So you could go to places like Vadim's or the Studio. Just an example, 2 clubs I used to go to a lot. And, you'd hear good music. So the vibes were always great in Bristol. And house parties were everywhere back in the day. Those were the best times, really.
Where was the hub? Because I know that Park Street, because when I spoke to Boris in the episode of the podcast that he did with me, he said that Park Street used to be a lot bigger for like the sort of like the underground, like the stores and everything like that. Like,
oh yeah.
Did you find that was the same for you then?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about, probably when I bought my CD decks, I think it's 98 from Replay Records, which was another great shop. So you had Replay at the top. You then had Kushti, which was a really good shop, which had, I think, a couple of record labels in the back. Then you had Imperial Records a bit further down. Then there was BS8, which kind of had a record store in the back as well. And you had all the cool shops and a lot of the clubs up there as well on the Triangle were kind of quite underground. So yeah, Boris is absolutely right. It was really, really good. Really good spot.
It's so crazy. Like, it's so hard to imagine like the way that like the city sort of like changes over time and the way different areas become more popular with different types of people. I mean, like for you, I guess the majority of your guys, like your business has been up and down Stokes. Do you find, I mean, of course you said you did East Street as well. Actually, what was that like about when you were doing that on East Street?
Let's get Ben's perspective. Tell us about East Street.
East Street was an experience. It was cold, a lot of lifting, but a good start for what we were doing.
Yeah.
I
feel like, because I used to live down there just like a few months back. I moved out, and like, I always love walking down there now. You always see some sights. So I can't imagine what it was like sort of going back a few years.
Well, it used to be next to a fish stall, so...
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Smell of fish, yeah.
Oh my God. Did he give you a discount at the cheeky rascal?
Dirty fish.
Oh, okay. Oh, fair enough. So yeah, you did East Street, and then after, where were you doing the car boots? Was it just you doing them together?
More guy.
Yeah.
Well, God, I mean, you used to do Easter Compton, Lansdowne in Bath, Clifton. Yeah, there were loads, absolutely loads.
And what were you selling at the car boots?
Kind of like the vintage market, really. The vintage market was literally a kind of macrocosm of my early kind of car booting, plus all the crap that we used to get from the house clearances. Not crap, it was great stuff.
From the house clearances?
Yeah.
What? Do tell.
I don't know what possessed me. I thought I'd buy a van. That would be a really good way to start a business. I'm just going to buy a van. And I bought the van. I was like, yeah, I got a van. What am I going to do with it? So next thing, I was just filling it up with stuff. And we were just taking it all over the place. And then I was like, actually, maybe I could use the van and make some money out of it. So I started up a little business called Guy Sim Man with a Van, really inventive name. I still get phone calls even now for it.
Really?
Yeah, crazy.
Your number's on some sort of...
It's in the ether somewhere. It's a lot of word of mouth. I mean, that's me and Ben I don't know what it is, but we've always been able to create good word of mouth. And the same with the van. But anyway, the van just ended up being there and I started filling it up with crap and then realized through meeting another guy that I met, because again, everything that happens is through the people you meet. And that's been absolutely the story with our business. It's just one meeting after another. You constantly riffing off of people. And this guy I know, he used to sell me stuff that we used to buy to sell on. And I was like, I could just get this stuff myself. I don't need to buy it off this guy.
For sure. Get rid of the middleman. Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. So next thing I'm like, well, I'm going to do some house clearances. And before we knew it, I mean, there was one example, right? I'll give you a quick example. This lady rang me up. She said, I need my mother's unfortunately passed away and she's got some stuff in her house. And can you come and pick it up? So I said, well, how much is there? Because I used to go around kind of, because somebody will say it's only a little bit and you turn up and it's like, yeah, a lot. Well, this was like a hell of a lot. So I turned up thinking it's going to be like a garage or something, like it'd be an hour's job. Turn up, it's a 5-bedroom house in the middle of suburbia. And so I started, well, show me where the stuff is. Like, yeah, garage, full. Garden, full. Kitchen, literally like the people are still living there. And, basically every room in the house was pretty much still occupied with stuff. And I was like, when are you... So they were selling the house. When's the sale going through? 2 days. I'm like, what? 2 days? So I ring him up, my mum and someone else, and 4 of us turn up. 3 days it took to clear that place.
Oh my God. Even with the A team?
Even with the A team and the B team
and the
C team. But that basically, we ended up, I think my van was huge and I ended up filling it up about 4 times. And like, I think we've still got stuff from that.
What, from that clearance?
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible.
Anything interesting? Did you find anything? I guess what's like the weirdest thing that you guys found doing these, like rooting through like dead people's houses?
Yeah, that sounded
Incontinence pads?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I mean, if you never needed to buy another toiletry or undergarment ever again, get into house clearance, because literally you can turn up and literally set up like a boots counter at your car boot sale. It's amazing. And fair play. I mean, that was what we were all about, right? So people, we get loads of people come to the car boot, particularly people on low incomes. It might be people who've just come to England from like Syria or something. They ain't got any money. They used to love our store. They were like, oh yeah, hand cream and underpants and socks.
Yes, that's so good.
It's mental. So yeah, we started out as people who could see the value in stuff, and I guess we just decided to refine the business and get into toys, and then that became really difficult. So we've ended up doing what we're doing.
Do you ever find things or things pass through the shop that either of you think, right, I'm not even going to sell that. That is mine. I'm just going to take it because that's so special. Never. Really? That's so interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know what? There's that saying, don't get high on your own supply.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just as dangerous with a shop for the stuff. So I think Ben probably, like when jungle collections come in or drum and bass or hardcore, Ben's like, oh, for fuck's sake. And I think probably what he needs to do is distract me. Like, oh, look, there's a pig over there. Quick, like, hide the jungle. Yeah. So, it's difficult, but wouldn't change it, would we?
No, that's so good. And I think that's all part of it. Like the fact that you guys are both like collectors yourself, I think really resonates because like you can see the value in things and like it makes it better because like when I used to come to your store in the vintage market, there'd always be like sort of guys coming in with these sort of like weird old trinkets being like, oh, have a look at this. Like they're getting all excited about it. And I think that really resonated with people, that they could like have that sort of dialogue with you both, and like I think that was definitely what helped create that like incredibly strong like community there, because you'd buy things off of people as well, right? And you still do that, correct?
That is the lifeblood of the business, because now we don't do house clearances. My van unfortunately passed away during COVID.
Oh my God, it got COVID?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dead. Absolutely
Oh
dead.
my goodness. It should have got the vaccine, man. It should have got the vaccine.
It was anti-vax. But let's
now
say,
it's a podcast, come on.
but yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, there's quite a lot of people in the room right here who are customers of ours. And I'll be honest, our business is nothing without the people who come in, because we are lazy. I'll be honest. I could sit on eBay looking for Jungle collections or Star Wars toys or whatever, but when people just bring it to you and you're like, okay, we'll have a look at that, it gets very easy. And I think, moving on, the business has to evolve, and we have to be a little bit more selective and reactive and proactive. Sorry, not reactive, proactive in how we get stuff. But yeah, we are. I mean, Ben has sold us so many house records. I mean, George has sold us dubstep, and Tommy sold us great stuff from his Murder record. There's Lucas has sold us, Orion, Jake.
I would never take anything from Orion. I'd give you one piece of advice: just to never take anything that Orion gives you.
We'll do this offline.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to pass. No, and there's so many people in this room that literally me and Ben are so thankful. So, literally this is why we're doing this today. It's like a little bit of a payback to the community, because, I just couldn't, I couldn't have a better job, to be honest. It could pay a lot better.
Yeah.
So if there's any rich benefactors out there who have got money, we could do with some of it. We need to invest.
There are
good
lots
investment
of
opportunity right here.
Podcast. Yeah, we've got a lot of millionaires listening. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we wanted to get on here.
Yeah. All those free downloads that I'm putting out, everyone, I presume that sometimes people will bring something in and you have to say, we can't sell that, like bugger off sort of thing.
That's the harder conversations that you have to have. I mean, what we've learned is that you can say anything if you say it in the right way. And sometimes people bring you the most ghastly things that you're like, why did you even think that would have a value?
Such as?
I mean, we'll just use records as an example. Somebody will bring a collection in. You pull the record out, it's got a footprint on it. It looks like someone's got a compass, and literally, we've had records like that, haven't we? Where someone's actually put shit record with a compass right the way through it. Or it's literally stuck together where it's got immersed in water.
Oh my God.
You name it. And people are like, do you want to buy this? I'm like,
chuck it in the bargain bin.
Yeah, we've got a bargain bin, but believe it or not, we don't pay for any of the things that are in the bargain bin. But we get an awful lot of people, particularly at the moment. I think times are tough. We've never seen so much stock coming through the door, have we? It's crazy, but it's every day we're turning stuff away because we don't want to waste people's time. But time is precious, and you got to hone in on the things you think you can move on.
Do you still have an online store? You still sell things on like eBay and that sort of thing, or?
Yeah, yes, we do. I feel like this is the guy show here.
I'm not much of a talker.
He's not much of a talker. Okay, I'll do that. The thing is with me and Ben, we've known each other 30 years. We are very much on the same page about most things. But he's got a shit taste in music. But no, I'm joking. No, he's got very good taste.
He's got a better taste in Star Wars toys, though.
Absolutely. Oh my God. Don't get him started on biker skates. But anyway, what was the question? I got distracted.
Your online presence, is it still as big as it was?
Yeah. We are pushing the online side. eBay and Discogs are the only two places we sell. So the staff have been really hammering a lot more stuff onto. We much prefer the store to be where everything is, but in reality, your customer for certain things may be in another country. It may be the other end of this country. So it's makes much more sense to put it on Discogs, and we are definitely gonna put a lot more stock onto there moving forward. There's a lot of lessons we learn running a business, and a lot of it is trial and error. But yeah, more stock online, more sales, pretty much. Speaking
of online presence, I was going to talk about your Instagram, because you've been leveling up big time on your Instagram. I love your videos. I presume that you're the cameraman in these videos. Not you. All the ones that you're talking to the camera. The one you put up earlier where you're all like high pitched everything. I thought that was hilarious.
Well, you know, there was a lot to say. You know, you've got like 5 or 6 seconds to get people's attention, so
Yeah.
you've got to be quick. No, I mean, most of it is just improvised nonsense. We're using
I know all about that.
literally a 10-pound light ring with a tripod on it. And I just found this really easy way to do it. So, yeah, I mean, the idea of shoving a camera in your face and actually promoting yourself online, that was like a terrifying thing to do because I don't even like my photograph being taken. My mum's got about 1 picture of me and that's on the toilet when I had no actual choice.
Yeah. You know what, I'm not, you know what, that's fine.
You know, mums and potty pictures. We've all got one somewhere, but my mum for literally about 25, 30 years, she's got hardly any pictures of me. And she must be really annoyed now that I'm slamming it in my face constantly every day.
Well, luckily for her, she's going to have a 45-minute video of you talking now. So,
Okay, yeah, we definitely need to send it to her.
so obviously you guys have been here for an entire year now, which we were chatting about this before. It doesn't feel like a year at all because I wrote an article about you guys when you first opened, and that felt like it doesn't feel like a year has passed whatsoever. What do you see for the future? Do you see yourself sort of really embedding yourself here and getting really comfortable, or do you have plans to grow the Collector Cave empire?
I'm going to let Ben answer this because Ben's already been doing some planning, haven't we?
Oh, really?
Well, I'll pretend this is Ben talking.
Okay.
We are
Nice.
So the long and short of it is that the Collector Cave, the old school Collector Cave, whilst it was a great experience for lots of people, it was just a bit too busy, too much going on, really hard to kind of, what is Collector Cave? It is literally, you know, at one time we wanted to kind of make it look like a cave and
Wow, that
then
would have
just
been
have
so
dim
cool.
lighting. Kind of like the vintage market was almost like a cave, really, a really cold, drippy sort of ceiling kind of building. Yeah, the toilets were definitely caveman style. Yeah, it's horrible.
Really?
But yeah, in answer to your question, yes, we've become very comfortable here because it's got heating, it's got hot water, it's not cold.
You're
my
living in
teeth
luxury.
aren't chattering
Wow.
in my head. I mean, Ben, every time I turn up at the vintage market in the winter, he's like, oh, yeah, I know it's cold, guy. Yeah, I know there's no hot water. Get your 3 pairs of thermal underpants on. I would sometimes have 2 pairs of thermal trousers, my jeans, 2 pairs of socks, and I was still cold.
Oh my God.
I am a pussy when it comes to the. I'll be honest. If I was in Spain,
No, you're a
right
man of
now-
luxury. You like your comfort.
I
There's
do,
nothing
yeah.
wrong with that.
But in answer to your question, long term, the business has to become more refined. You know, the essence will still be the same. You'll still come in and hopefully find good records at the right price in the right condition. But, you know, there's a lot more stuff that we want to sell. But as you can see, the shop's a bit small. So long term, we are going to separate out the businesses. So it's going to be very much media based. So Collector Cave will carry on as Collector Cave Media. We've just started a new business called Cave Electronics, which is essentially going to be the hi-fi side, the DJ equipment, you know, all the gear and trinkets and little gizmos. And then Ben's passion, which is the thing that has been neglected to a certain extent, is the toys, the collectibles. That is Ben's long-term passion project to get that up and running next year. So we're going to have 3 distinct businesses. It's going to be toys and collectibles. It's going to be hi-fi and gear, and then what you already know and love, hopefully love, the records and CDs and everything else.
And are they all going to have physical presences, or are they going to be more online based?
No, so it's going to be bricks and mortar and online. So we're just going to, our office downstairs, some of you might have seen the office, which is more like literally a sardine can. It's crammed in there. There's stuff everywhere. That is actually going to be turned into a shop. So downstairs, we're going to reconnect the stairwell, and we're then going to turn that into a hi-fi DJ gear shop.
Nice.
It's going to be a lot more sort of welcoming and easier to listen to stuff and test it, etc. Where the toys go, we're really not sure at this stage. I mean, we have already outgrown the space, to be honest. So I think there's a long-term discussions that we need to have, but the Cloak have been very accommodating. There's a lot more space at the back that people don't see that we're hoping to maybe utilize as well. So yeah, hopefully we can keep it all here in one space. But
I need to see the toy specific shop. I'd have such a good time in there. That'd be so fun.
Yeah. I mean, I actually love toys and collectibles as much as Ben does, but I'm happy with the music element that we've got in the business, where I know Ben really wants to get into the high end sort of collectibles and the sort of affordable stuff as well. So that's the plan for Collector Cave sort of moving forward, if we can find those wealthy investor types. So yeah, any of you know?
Yeah. Longies, you got a few. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put you in touch. You've been getting a few sets as well. You've been playing out a little bit. You've been doing a few events and things. Is that something that you kind of had always been wanting to pursue, or it's just like sort of I don't know, it just happened because of the situation?
I'll be honest, it's a long-term dream to actually, I played many house parties over the years, and, always had great experiences doing that. I've always had rooms pumping with people jumping around, needles flying all over the place,
Needles flying all over the place.
Well, literally when people are jumping much, like literally. And that's the last thing.
Me a second.
The last. Yeah. Oh no, not those. Sorry. Yeah, I've given up the heroin a long time ago now. But what I was supposed to say is, people will be dancing so much at the party that literally you can see why people went to digital, right? You don't have to worry about the needles jumping around. But yeah, I mean, I've been very fortunate because we have met some incredible people through the business who have, just given me an opportunity, and I'm really thankful for that. There's people in the room right now who've done that for us. And, as long as I'm enjoying it and, people are enjoying what we're playing, I want to do a lot more of it next year. So yeah, any of you got any spots?
Yeah, I'm available as well.
Yeah,
by the way, just so you know.
Ben has also got the sickest movie soundtrack, children's toy soundtrack collection. We've got to do a set of that.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Definitely. I wanted to get him to do one today, but he was too busy.
I'm just conscious of time because I know you have your quiz beginning in about 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, hopefully you'll all be getting involved in the quiz.
But before we end, I just want to ask each of you what your most prized possession that you've acquired throughout doing this is. Throughout collecting, I suppose, or just for your entire time of what's your favourite collectible that you own?
For me, probably the Biker Scout tri-logo UFO hole.
What on earth is that?
In English?
It's a Star Wars toy.
Oh, amazing! Yeah. What size are we talking?
That big, probably.
Is it one of the old incredibly toxic lead ones?
No.
Okay.
no. Plastic.
Okay,
crack.
nice.
Same as Reckles plastic crack.
Awesome. What do you like about it so much?
It's just very rare. No, I sold that one, but it's just very rare, hard to find.
Unbelievable.
When you're a completist collector, you want everything, and this is the one I wanted.
And you've completed the collection now?
Yeah.
Come on, yes! Unreal.
Through the shop, a pair of Technics 1210s.
Nice. There we go.
Oh, that's such a hard question to answer. I really couldn't give one particular thing. I think all I'd say is that, some rare stuff comes through the shop, and sometimes I'm like, I can't let that go because I might not see one again. Much to Ben's chagrin, every time. There was an original copy of Nirvana that came to there once. Claimed. Yeah, Nirvana. Yeah. We're very lucky. I can't thank everyone enough for letting us do this, and actually I'm very proud of what we've achieved between us. We pay 5 wages from this business, albeit part-time for some of the staff, but I'd never thought I could barely dress myself a few years ago, and to be able to do this, it is honestly an honor to be able to do that and pay it back somehow. And it's great. I love it.
Well, here's to another year in the Cloak. Here's to another year of collecting amazing things. And I think everyone here can agree that, we're all super grateful for the things that you both do as well. Happy birthday, guys.
Thank you.
Woo! Thanks
there we go.
That's more like it.
Thank you.
Amazing. Any closing remarks before we round this puppy off? We land this plane.
Keep buying vinyl.
Yes.
And CDs and Star Wars toys.
And everything.
Yes.
And record players.
We are actually, one of the things we didn't mention is we are setting up an operating table, sterile area downstairs. So if you do need to sell a kidney, it will be a lot easier moving forward.
We'll actually have to speak after this, actually. Yes. I'm so glad you brought it up. Yeah.
How many have you got?
We'll talk after. Okay, we'll talk after. Amazing. Thank you so much for
thanks,
listening,
Miles.
everyone. Happy birthday, Collector Cave.
Yeah.
That was sick. Good job.
Thank you.
That was really good. Nice one. Thank you for listening to this episode of Chatting Breeze. Just a quick note to say, once again, about the Patreon. If you are not yet subscribed, is what I was trying to say, please consider doing so. It helps us out massively. And if you can't, no worries. There are other ways you can support. If you fancy bigging up what we do, if you're listening on Spotify, dropping a cheeky little 5-star rating helps massively. Whatever, adding to your playlist, showing your friends. Don't actually know if you can do playlists for podcasts. Anyway, just like sharing it about, liking, rating, all that sort of thing. Don't want to be a beg, but yeah, I really enjoy making this podcast. So for it to continue, if you guys could big it up, that'd be sick. And yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Love doing the live format. Let me know what you guys thought as well. There is potential for more live episodes going forward as well. The guys at Cloak and the guys at Void Radio who are recording are super keen to do more. So watch this space. And yeah, until then, sign up to the Patreon. Next episode coming maybe next week over Christmas. If I can be bothered, maybe not. But regardless, if you're on the Patreon, you'll get it before anybody else. So I'll see you there. And yeah, have an excellent Christmas, one and all. Oh, oh, oh.